Hello, everybody. It's me, Hazer, and I'm here to Haver. Oh, you know what? Where did I put pub quiz thing? Have I got it? I do. So well prepped. Still in my back pocket. Pub quiz night, Monday night, as we all know. Let me see what I've got for you here. I brought the sheet home. We did okay. I think we finished like third or fourth. We got full marks in the music round, which was nice. You know what round I absolutely stank it up on? Normally geography is pretty good for me, but it was like which name 6 countries that the Nile goes through. Obviously Egypt, but like I don't know, I totally blanked on like Sudan, South Sudan, and like where it went in general. We went like Egypt, Ethiopia, Uganda, Kenya. Then we went Chad, and then we had Sudan, and we removed it for Central African Republic. Made a real mess of that. Let me see if there's one that's not too UK pilled for you all. There was a sport question, which was a trio of questions. It was name who won the Rugby World Cup last year. It was like a 2023 special quiz. Name who won the Rugby World Cup, name who won the Women's Football World Cup, and name who won the Cricket World Cup. We got all 3 of those right. That's South Africa for the rugby, Spain for the women's football, and Australia for the cricket. Name the 3 highest grossing films of last year. We put, maybe it was 3 of the 5. Anyway, we had Barbie, Oppenheimer, and Super Mario, which were right. Yeah, I don't know. Was there anything? Name the 3 countries that border Luxembourg. Bit of a freebie there. France, Belgium, Germany. Name the 3 prime ministers of the UK that had double L's in their name in post-World War II era. Which is a bit of a ridiculous question. The answers are Churchill, Callahan, and Macmillan. It took us ages to remember Harold Macmillan, but we got there in the end. Anyway, what else is going on? We're talking about Smite. We just had the SWC Group Stage Qualification Tournament. Was a really fun one, I thought. I really enjoyed watching it. Some surprises there. My predictions pre-tournament were definitely not correct. But yeah. Oh, they actually haven't updated the bracket properly. That's fine, though. You know what? We'll show it anyway. I'll bring it up. Here we go. So, this one's all good. Let's talk about what happened. Group A, Mambo and Ravens, pretty definitive winners in this group. There was no real, the resistance put up by the Glads and the Storm was token resistance at best. Storm, I did think were going to be bad going into this tournament. Glads, I thought, at least in the final best of 5, would show up better than they did. They were limp, I would say, is maybe putting it nicely. They were really, really bad. Uninspiring drafts, uninspiring play. Jangaru and Kirmi had made a bit of an effort through the tournament and shown some promise. The other 3, not so much. Really wasn't impressed with Snoopy J, Corcona, the whole tournament. And yeah, pretty disappointing from them. They got absolutely smashed by Mambo, and Ravens and Mambo qualify out of Group A. Looking down at Group B, is where I was most surprised. The biggest surprise for me was this match 2. I really thought the Hounds were going to show up to play, but they get crushed by the Wardens, and the Kings get crushed by the Scarabs as well, which was not what I was expecting on either. I think this match 2, the Hounds, seemed to be a lot of it just being ducky. Look, they started off fairly well, but then I think there was some fairly disappointing play from Oath and Benny rather around mids. Stu, I don't know. After this set, Stu dropped a tweet like crying about the game. Games shits plus weird shits equals dead or some shit like that. When he still had a set to play, didn't enjoy reading that. Some weak mental going on there, in my opinion. I would hate to see that as a teammate. But yeah, the Hounds go down 0-2. The Kings, I think, went into the Scarabs with exactly the wrong game plan. The Scarabs are a team who like to go late, and farm it out, and the Kings just went into them and played that way. It's how the Kings like to play as well, but I thought having studied them and having had more time to practice and prep, they would have come up with something a little bit better. They played exactly the way the Scarabs wanted to play, and they got crushed. Winners bracket final, well, I guess we'll look at losers bracket first. Kings beat the Hounds, squeak past them. I don't know if either of these teams deserved to win that set. They were both pretty bad, in my opinion. A Ducky, by the way, for the Wardens for the Hounds. Sorry, was good. You got to give Ducky some credit. The rest of the guys, I don't know, didn't really do it for me. Wardens versus Scarabs. This was a great set. Wardens were ahead I think they were ahead pretty significantly in every game apart from the one they won. I feel like the one they won was the one where they were a bit behind, but they were crushing through the early game into the mid game, and they would get to fires. Sometimes they would even get a fire, but they just couldn't push it over the line. They struggled to execute around fire. They just didn't seem to know what to do when the Scarabs slowed things down and just waited for them to make a mistake, and that mistake was always coming. They ended up rushing things around fire, doing a bad pull, or getting caught in fights, and the Scarabs just patiently waited out and eventually took them down. But the Wardens were really, really impressive, especially through the early game in this one. And then match 10, a mystery result, website not updated yet. But the Kings end up taking down the Wardens 3-1 in this one. I actually predicted the Wardens to win going into this just because the Kings had looked so rotten. And they showed a bit of that rottenness in game one. Twig, I think, was making a mess of things. I think Big Man also had a bit of a bad game one. Kings were in control of it through the early, but then towards the late started to make mistakes. Twig was playing way too deep on the lance and getting caught out and dying early in fights. Big Man had a few bad positional plays and bad relic usages, which led to Wardens taking game one, but the Kings turned it around. Twig had a great Maman game and a great Bats game. Variety had a great Achilles game and a couple of great Chak games. Really looked strong on the Chak, which I didn't expect, and the whole team came through. Quig had a really good game on the Umoja and on the Geb. Was it Umoja? I'm sure it was Umoja. And then pulled out the Geb in game 4 into Daji, which was cool. Made it work. I think that's really smart, actually. You know, when a team's tournament life is on the line, they're unlikely to ram pressure down your lanes and crush you. So picking a Geb, it's one of the times when you can definitely get away with it. I think Camelot Kings showed their veteranship here, and we will be seeing the defending champions at Worlds, and we will be seeing Captain Twig at his 10th Worlds in a row, which, you know, I know he's got a lot of haters out there. A lot of people don't like him. I think he's had a terrible year. I obviously like Twig. I've teamed with him for years. He's a good friend. But he's had a terrible year, but you have to give him props on what an impressive achievement that is to stay, you know, in the top 8 team, well, maybe more in previous years. But anyway, stay in the top N teams for that long, stay at the top of the game. No one else has done it. So I think you got to stand back and appreciate it. 10 years in a row, Captain Twig's done it. So congrats to him and the Kings. Congrats to the Scarabs. Congrats to Mambo, and congrats to the Ravens. And this is their prize, the SWC bracket, starting off on Friday. We're going to be watching quarterfinals. I'll be there in Arlington, Texas, so feel free to come and say hello if you are. But these are the matchups. The teams got to draft who they wanted to face. So the Ferrymen picked first, and they chose the Solar Scarabs. The Leviathans picked second. They chose Hex Mambo. Oni Warriors picked third. They chose the Kings. And the Dragons were left. Now, yeah, the Dragons were left with the Ravens. So it was interesting that the SCC teams got picked above, particularly the Kings for me. I think if I were one of these teams, I first pick the Kings. But maybe, I think Paul, when he was picking, he mentioned, that's Paul from the Six Firemen, he mentioned that he thought that his team had a better matchup into Scarabs. Thought it was pretty close between all the teams. And then Leviathans picked Mambo, which is real interesting too. But I'm excited for all these matchups. I do wonder particularly about the top 3 SPL teams, Ferrymen, Leviathans, and Warriors. They did seem to have an incredibly large gap over the rest of the SPL teams this season. Can they carry that on? How much have the Dragons improved in the time we haven't been able to watch them? And will we get... It's customary that we get at least one quarterfinal upset, right? Where will it be? Will it be the Scarabs shockingly beating the Ferrymen? Could we see the Kings get past the Warriors? Revenge on Genetics for leaving them? I don't know. Let's do some predictions. Quarterfinals are best of 3, and then we got best of 5s for the rest. I'm going to say that Ferrymen 2-0, Ravens 2-0, Leviathans, Mambo 2-1, Warriors 2-0, Ferrymen 3-0, Warriors 3-0. Warriors 3-2. Grand final on the Sunday. Only Warriors win Worlds. Genetics 2-time world champion. We'll need to drill some holes into his head to deflate it after that. Surely it wouldn't happen. There you go. There's my off-the-cuff prediction. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for a great year once again on YouTube and on Twitch. It's been super fun. We're going to continue to put out highlights videos. There will be another highlights video coming after this goes out. And then we'll have day 4 highlights coming sometime this week. And we'll have highlights for the World's Days as well. So keep an eye out for those. Yeah, shout outs Bahi. He's editing, the GOAT. And yeah, I'll see you at Worlds. We'll have a stream on some guest streamers on our channel. Peaking's going to take over, I believe. So there'll be a place to watch on Twitch if you want to. Yeah, I think that's it for me. Have a great week, everybody.